Join me next spring in Italy on the Isle of Capri, just $54.88, including airfare from St. Louis. 888-733-944 or go to conservativetours.com.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
The Allman Report.
Hey, Monday, all the nuttiness from around the weekend. Jimmy Hoff, the Gateway Pundit. It is Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report, News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
U.S. Tax Shield, 800-785-9132.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085, 800-555-2085, or biglou.com.
The Dan Bongino Show.
Yeah, I know I can be curmudgeon-y at times, but you guys got to me there. Your comments on Locals and Facebook after that segment really touched my heart. It's just such an honor to be doing this. Got a new year coming up. We got great things for you ahead. And I just really love you guys so much. And the best compliment you can give me is Jeremy, your son, said, like, that was real and raw. Well, that's what this show is. And I fully understand as we approach the new year with new content, new stories, and a new presidency, that there are going to be moments the show's not for everyone. Hey, we had one earlier in the show, that Social Security segment, right? We had a lot of our own listeners. That's okay, man. That's cool. I respect you. I guarantee you, there are very few hosts out there going back and forth with their audience on Facebook during breaks. I do that, even if you disagree. Sorry, I had a little bit of the sniffles today, but I feel good. I always told you I'd never do a show if I felt terrible, because I went to a speech one time and the speaker was like, I'm dying up here of the flu. And I was like, I felt terrible. All I could think about was the speaker. It was Ann Coulter at CPAC. It's like, I'm so sick. That's all I could think about the whole time. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Merrill. Merrill, you're on the Dan Bongino Show. What do you got for us?
Hi, Dan. How are you? Your section on Rush was really heartfelt. My husband had prostate cancer 8 years ago, and praise God, he's cancer-free, and we'll keep you in prayer and just pray a hedge of protection around you. And he's got your back.
Thank you, Marilyn. God bless your husband in the fight. I know that's a tough one. Prostate cancer, unfortunately, affects a lot of Americans. So a friend of mine is going through a surgery in January. His name starts with a D. I won't say anything else, but he listens to my show, and you know who you are, and I wish you the best. It's a really horrible thing. And, like I said, during this holiday season, I'll think about the good stuff. All those good memories you're going to make, they matter. I'm telling you, they are your currency in the afterlife. That is what's going to come with you, not the Ferraris or the gold coins or the houses. It's all great stuff. I joke with people all the time. I say, you know what? Money's not going to make you happy. Being, not having it can make you mad, no doubt about it, but it really doesn't. I've been at every end of this thing, and you really cannot buy that. You can't buy sanity. You can't buy happiness. You got to be grounded in God, family, country, that order. Get the order down. Everything else falls into place. Let's go to, is it Donna? Donna, you're on the Dan Bongino show. What do you got for us?
Hi, Dan. I want to say, first of all, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I am so grateful to you beyond measure. You've carried one heck of a heavy cross on your back, and I think that this time off would be very good for you because you can depress and focus on all the things you love, your girls, your bride, and everything else. And yeah, you're very much loved, and I swear, Dan, I promise you, one day you and I are going to actually meet. And
Donna, I can't believe we haven't.
I want to give you a big hug.
I know Donna forever. She is. This is the perfect caller to end the year on. Because if you don't know the story, I was the weekend guest host at WMAL, a station we're on right now in Washington, D.C. I was the guest host there, not long, I don't know, maybe 3 to 6 months. They gave me this weekend show. It wasn't every weekend, but maybe 3 out of 4. And Donna used to call in. She's in that region right there. So I've known Donna, forever, but we've never actually met. This is what I was talking about before, when I feel like there's this asymmetry between me and the audience, in that you guys and ladies know everything about me, but when I meet you in public, I really wish I knew more because I feel like I'm always going to let you down. I do. I feel like I disappoint people. I feel like, gosh, I should have said something different. There is so rarely an interaction I have with a listener where I don't walk away going, damn it, I wish I would have said something different on how much I appreciate what they said. Just know, inside my brain, that's what's going on. My joy meter's pegged. So thank you so much.
Attention St. Charles, looking for a local spot that satisfies all your cravings? Mario's Donut Restaurant is your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches and omelets to delicious gyros, Mexican dishes, salads, and wraps, we've got it all. And don't forget our famous donuts. They're so good, they'll make your eyes glaze over. Dine in or carry out, our friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit. Call 636-447-4515 or visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Are you a St. Louis small business owner looking to boost your brand? Blue Ocean Media Group offers affordable video production that packs a punch. From social media content to branded promotional clips, we'll help you stand out in the digital crowd. Professional quality, small business prices. Let's tell your story together. Learn more at blueomg.com. That's blueomg.com. Blue Ocean Media. Big impact videos for small business budgets.
Right now, the forgotten poor are waiting and praying for life-saving medical care, for a chance to live with dignity and hope. They are waiting for Mercy Ships and you. Mercy Ships is the largest floating civilian hospital in the world, with volunteer medical staff and crew who donate their time to save lives. As our newest state-of-the-art hospital ship sets sail, Mercy Ships will double our ability to reach children and adults who need us now.
Some people are called to preach and teach. I share the love of Jesus by caring for these patients.
Mercy Ships is answering the call to be the hands and feet of Jesus for the least of these. Together, with friends like you, we are putting faith into action and bringing a wave of hope and healing to those who need it most.
Thank you!
To learn more about this wave of hope, go to mercyships.org.
KLGY-HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Jimmy Carter was a little-known Georgia governor when he ran for president in the 1976 election. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
As a governor and former peanut farmer, Carter began his White House bid as an underdog. He was an outspoken Baptist and connected with many Americans because of his promise not to lie following President Nixon's Watergate scandal. In 1976, he defeated then-President Ford and went on to serve a single term before losing to Ronald Reagan. While Carter's presidency was marked by double-digit inflation and a lengthy hostage crisis in Iran, many people were inspired by his post-presidential life, which included volunteer work and years of teaching Sunday school. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Jimmy Carter's state funeral will take place at Washington National Cathedral on January 9th, 2025. Flags will fly at half-staff over all government buildings for 30 days after Carter's death. Also at townhall.com, President-elect Trump has asked the Supreme Court to pause the potential TikTok ban from going into effect until his administration can pursue a political resolution to the issue.
Mr. Trump's request came as TikTok and the Biden administration filed opposing briefs to the court. Oral arguments are scheduled for January 10th on whether the law, which requires TikTok to divest from its China-based parent company or face a ban, unlawfully restricts speech in violation of the First Amendment. The brief said Mr. Trump opposes banning TikTok at this time and, quote, seeks the ability to resolve the issues at hand through political means once he takes office.
Correspondent Jeremy House. Charles F. Dolan, who founded some of the most prominent U.S. media companies, including Home Box Office and Cablevision Systems, has died. He was 98. The Dow dropping 259 points, the NASDAQ off 122. More at townhall.com.
Making America great again starts with making America healthy again. You know, I lost over 50 pounds on the PhD weight loss and nutrition program. 3 years later, I've kept it off. You know why? Because Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team have been making America healthy for people like you and me for 10 years. Because millions being spent on weight loss injections that have harmful side effects and lifelong dependency. Take a natural approach. It's not connected to a big pharma company's bottom line. You can do it with the help of PhD weight loss based on science and nutrition, a proven roadmap that has helped over 8,000 clients lose weight and keep it off. You'll learn to quiet those cravings and finally release that unhealthy belly fat. You won't be hungry. You'll never take medication. How many pounds would you like to lose in 2025, huh? PhD Weight Loss leading the charge to make America healthy again. Get started today. Schedule your consultation by calling 864-644-1900, 864-644-1900, or just visit
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert Meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Cloudy skies this afternoon, a high of 55 degrees. Chance for a few sprinkles or isolated showers, but really the better chance of rain holds off until this evening. Rain will be likely overnight. We'll drop to 42 degrees. And then for Tuesday, it's a cloudy day. Rain likely in the morning. The afternoon high 45 degrees, and it's going to get a bit windy. Winds out of the northwest gusting as high as about 30 miles per hour. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Can our government be competent? Jimmy Carter says yes. Jimmy Carter says yes. Can our government be honest? Jimmy Carter says yes. Jimmy Carter says yes. Can our government be decent and open? As the 39th president, he has spoken, yes.
Yes.
Jimmy Carter says yes.
Jimmy Carter says yes. That is a stone cold jam. I don't care who you are. Let's play that for a second.
Without sin or any corruption.
Uh-huh.
I will do my level best to run the government decently without any statement.
It doesn't matter that he didn't do a great job. This is a stone cold jam.
Doings I will reveal to the public. For corruption while I'm in office, I'll not budge.
Let's get back to the. Let's do one more round of the Jimmy Carter says yes. I think it's coming up here in just a second.
To the republic.
And then we get. Here we go.
Security will prevail.
Here we go.
As sure as I'm the president.
President Jimmy Carter.
President Jimmy Carter.
Here we go.
Can a government be competent?
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter says yeah. Jimmy Carter says yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Can our government be honest?
I don't know.
Jimmy Carter says yeah.
But Jimmy thinks so.
Jimmy Carter says
yes, he does. Why don't they make him like that anymore, Johnny? They don't make them like that anymore. That's the good stuff.
Wow. You said that to me. I was shocked. I had never heard anything. That's totally in my wheelhouse because that's clearly a white dude, but that is undeniably funk.
That's
oh my
funk.
goodness. That's the blue-eyed soul from the Pacific Northwest or something. I don't know what that's amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And you know what? If that song is his legacy, he did it.
It only takes one. Yeah, you only need one.
And we can just focus on the positive, right? Jimmy Carter wasn't a great president, but that doesn't mean he didn't try and he didn't do some great things. And, we got a lot of these comparisons. We'll get into these stories as we go through the show today. Oh, by the way, you're listening to Colombo and Company. I'm Tony Colombo. That's producer Johnny. Hi. Welcome to a new week, second to last day of 2024. President Jimmy Carter passed away yesterday at the age of 100. And I choose to focus on some of the good things, his work on human rights. Of course, he received the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. Not real great, not really remembered for a very successful presidency. But I think that if you want to put it in the context of today, Jimmy Carter is what Joe Biden tried to tell everybody he was. Like the honest, I might make some mistakes. I may not be the smartest. I may not be the best, but I'm good old Uncle Joe, and I'll tell you the truth, and I'll work hard, and we'll get through. Like Jimmy Carter meant it. He made a lot of mistakes.
Joe Biden was a senator when Carter was elected. I just heard that this morning, and I went,
yeah.
I think just to put
a
number on it.
Think about that. Jimmy Carter, it feels like, okay, Jimmy Carter was president when I was born.
Likewise.
Right? I was born in 1978. So Jimmy Carter was president when I was born. So he's been the former president for my entire, ever since I can remember. Ronald Reagan was elected when I was 4
Now,
years
in your
old.
childhood, did you ever remember anyone speaking ill of Jimmy Carter?
No, I mean, except for in the campaign, except for looking back at like Ronald Reagan's 1982 campaign and highlighting the failures of his presidency, but nothing like the corruption.
It's weird. Nobody had anything bad to say about it, despite I remember, I was born in 1976, the very end of 1976.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my uncles complaining about, telling me about the gas shortage and that stuff.
Cars lined up and the whole hey, just you don't got to turn your heat up to 72, just turn it up to 67 and put on a jacket while you're at your house. Like that's bad times, right? And that was the Carter administration.
And but I don't remember anyone pointing it out until much later in life.
Well, because I think everybody thought he meant well. They felt I think.
Well, I hope that's what these lefties get with Joe Biden now too. Because I it's later on as people were like, "Well, Carter sucked."
But Joe Biden didn't mean well. That's the difference. You know what I mean? Like Jimmy Carter got the benefit of the doubt, and everybody
farmer from Georgia.
Yeah, everybody wanted to keep working with him. He was able to establish a lot of the Carter Center and do a lot of positive things after he was president. But to your point at the very beginning there about his age, I'm 46 years old, and Jimmy Carter's been the ex-president basically my whole life. So I was, 4 years old. And Joe Biden is still president right now, right this moment. He's not going to be the kids that are 4 years old now, they are not going to have Joe Biden. They're not going to be talking about Joe Biden. I mean, think about that. Jimmy Carter didn't look like a spring chicken. Like, he seemed like the normal aged president when he was elected. And then he lived for another 40 years and had a whole lifetime and career after his presidency. It really highlights just how old Joe Biden and a lot of these on both sides of the aisle. On both sides of the aisle. Career politicians. It's just not how it used to be. It's crazy. It really does. It really does point out a lot. And like I was saying there at the beginning, Jimmy Carter is what Joe Biden tried to be. Like, I'm the good old boy that you can trust. I'm one of you. I'm a hardworking guy. And he was not. He was a career, as you said, a career politician who's not known anything but government. He's not known he couldn't relate with the normal person and normal people's struggles and what it's like to try to get a career, hold on to a career, pay for groceries, pay for your car, he's never known any of that. But he tried to be that he tried to present that common man, Democrat, hard working, middle class lifestyle to people. And it has just been exposed and blown out of the water.
Yeah, I've been to Delaware.
And
it's a little different up there, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And you could say, oh, well, Jimmy Carter just had he was protected by the times. There was in the 70s and 80s, there wasn't, there wasn't.
Dude, but doesn't that sound familiar?
But
like,
there's been
gas and massive inflation.
And all those things have happened since. And Jimmy Carter seems to still be a pretty decent dude. Whereas Joe Biden, not so much. And like I said, if somebody writes a song like that for you,
dude,
you got it.
Back to the point of the story. That song's a banger.
Back to the point of the story. That song is it. I heard that song. I literally stumbled across that song like in the early days at 97.1. I can literally.
How
remember.
did someone play for? Like I said, I'm so amazed that I've never heard this.
I think Jimmy Carter did. I think he was in the news for some reason. Maybe he was over, negotiating some policy. I think we sent him over to get some hostages or something.
That sounds familiar.
And so I was doing some research and I was looking through various things and I came across, I was like on YouTube, I think, and I came across that song and I've had it. I've been waiting.
You've just been sitting on it.
I've been sitting on it for years. Not waiting for him to die, like just waiting for a reason.
Give me a reason.
Yeah, I just give me a reason to play it.
And he hasn't done anything but be old for quite a long time.
Well, he's held on for a very, very long time. He voted in November. Famously.
Yeah, did you see the meme though, where it was like they hope that he hold on to see Trump get the Panama Canal back? they were hoping he held on just long enough.
He said that he was holding on to see Kamala Harris win. That's what Jimmy Carter was saying. He was like, And
they were like, we hope he holds on.
I want to see a woman president. I want to see Kamala Harris win, and I'm going to vote for her. And yeah, that didn't work out. But yeah, by all accounts, not far from perfect, especially when it comes to his policy and sort of the direction, but like a genuine person, like a genuine.
I mean, I don't remember people even being that harsh when Nixon died.
Right.
And I mean, my entire life, I grew up with Nixon being painted in a bad light,
I mean, even when like when Joe Biden, hopefully in a very long time from now passes away, like, that's not the time to do the dance. That's not the time to bring up all the bad stuff. That's why I'm not going to.
But I mean, to be indifferent, probably if I lived under Nixon, I'd have been like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tap dance on your grave.
Yeah,
but
that's a good point. That's a great point. But yeah, what a perfect day to play that song. And if you haven't heard it before, you're welcome, because it is a banger.
And if you hate it, I'm sorry, because you're going to hear it a lot more.
You're gonna hear it.
Whoa.
We're gonna have Crane Durham on tomorrow. I think I want to play some of it for Crane tomorrow and kind of break down like everything that's going on in that song because it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's one of those songs.
We'll
that,
do a
like,
reaction. We could pause it.
Yeah,
We could kind of
exactly.
take it in, and
it's also one of those songs that like, you don't need to rhyme to make it work. Like, can a government be honest? Can a government be competent? There's nothing about that rhymes, but it works. But it works when you put it in that context and you put that beat behind it.
it's syllabically.
You put that funk.
It's got the syllables that they just don't rhyme.
It's got that funk groove that's making it work all the way through. So we will we'll play that song a couple more times because I love it. Also, speaking of here's a perfect example of why Joe Biden isn't Jimmy Carter. Joe Biden tried to score political points off the death of Jimmy Carter, using the death of Jimmy Carter to take a swipe at Donald Trump. And it's being called out for the gross ugliness that it, of course, is. So I want to get into that story. Also, obviously, as we wrap up 2024, this is kind of the perfect time to look back at the year that was, look forward to the coming year and what we want to see and what we expect to see. Unfortunately, for me and probably you and many others, what I want to see and what I expect to see, both locally and nationally, don't line up. And we're going to talk to, as we do every Monday, we're going to talk to Mike McCleary, our AI expert from Intervine. He's got another crazy thing that we're going to talk about today. Do you remember what I said? Do you remember what it was called?
Quantum communication? Is that
that's
what it was?
Yeah, I was about to pull out.
That just sounds like some made-up buzzword.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I
Quantum
remembered
communications and why it will impact every aspect of our lives going forward. So I don't know what it is. We're going to learn about it all together from Mike McCleary at about 3:00. So looking forward to that. We're also going to talk to former Missouri State Representative, former show host here at News Talk STL, and somebody who lives and works in the personal finance industry. Paul Kurtman is going to join us in about 25 minutes, around 2:45 this afternoon. So looking forward to that. And as I said, perfect day to look back at the old year and look forward to the new year. Our friend Virginia Kruder from the Daily Wire is going to join us in just a couple minutes, and she has among her latest articles there at thedailywire.com a 2024 postmortem and the 2025 predictions. So I want to talk to her about that article. Virginia Kruder from the Daily Wire joins us next here on Colombo and Company. Yeah, hit that jam. Let's go.
Can our government be competent? Jimmy Carter says yes. Jimmy Carter says yes. Can our government?
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
I'm telling you, somebody writes that song. If that song is there, for history, you did something right. You also did something right. And see how to tie all this together. If you make sure that you contact Weber Chevrolet the next time you are looking for a new vehicle going into 2025. If you're looking for a new car, Weber Chevrolet, 3 dealerships around town to serve you: Creve Coeur in Missouri, Granite City, and Columbia in Illinois. Nobody is going to give you a better deal on a new or used vehicle. Nobody is going to give you more on your trade-in. But above all of that, nobody is going to take care of you in the service department and take care of you in that vehicle more for the entire time that you own it than the team at Weber Chevrolet. It is literally one of Skip's top priorities, and that is why Skip Weber top priorities, which is why Weber Chevrolet, once again in 2024, reputation scores just came out a couple weeks ago. And once again, dominating the competition. There is nobody that has the reputation score or the customer service rankings anywhere close in the Midwest in the Chevy dealers than Weber Chevrolet. They truly are the best. That's why they've been around for nearly 125 years in the St. Louis area. You don't stick around in the same community for that long if you're not doing something right by your customers, and that's what it's all about at Weber Chevrolet. So if 2025 is the year that you're looking for a new vehicle, check out what's happening at all 3 Weber dealerships now at weberchevrolet.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA.
The left is doing everything it can to tear Trump and the MAGA team apart. I can tell you right now, it's not working.
Larry Connors, USA.
Now, weeknights 6 until 8
on News Talk STL. Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter.
That's how you follow up the Jimmy Carter Jam, Rule Urge. Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here in studio with producer Johnny, and joining us on the line now, as she does every Monday afternoon, is our good friend Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire. And Virginia, you have an article up right now at thedailywire.com about exactly what I was going to talk to you about. Is this is the last time that we will chat in 2024, which just means it's the last time we'll chat this week. But you have an article up about the postmortem, the look back at 2024 and the 2025 predictions. I'll let you start. Do you want to, what's most on your mind right now? Looking back and recapping the year that was, or focusing on what is to come in the new year?
Well, the piece you mentioned is actually, it's more on the media giving kind of a postmortem. So it's kind of funny to watch that because
nice. Yes.
most of them don't actually, they're not willing to be
a lot of spin,
self-aware, or, there's not a whole lot of introspection going on. And there really should be.
Yeah.
So a lot of this was, you've got, I think her name is Jan something. She's a CBS correspondent, and she suddenly realized, I guess, that Biden's decline was a thing.
Like just now,
and
like today?
Yesterday. This was on Face the Nation. They did this. What was the most undercovered story in 2024 was the question. Like, what was the story that was undercovered? And she's like, oh, well, we probably should have asked some more questions about Biden, because after the debate, et cetera, it's very funny to watch this, because she says, the most underreported story, and her name's Jan Crawford. The most underreported story to me would be Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline that became undeniable. It didn't become undeniable. It was undeniable. This was
the most.
And what I think is great about this,
Johnny's laughing at my face.
Really did this.
If you're watching on the cameras, you'll see my facial reaction to that story, because you said, she said it was the most undercovered. Joe Biden's mental decline was not talked about.
Well, and that's the thing. I just wanted somebody else on the panel to ask her. And why was that, do you think?
Yeah. And and it was only not covered in certain areas. It was very covered. It was very, very discussed in other forums.
Well, those places don't count, Tony. Don't you understand?
I understand.
This
yeah.
is like, So
I usually am on that list of things that don't
So
count.
the Wall Street Journal report that came out about a week ago that was talking about, and the buried lead on that one was even crazier because they're talking about, blah, 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 Joe Biden, obvious cognitive decline. We interviewed 50 people in his orbit. Of course, none of them would give a name because they're all terrified. But they're talking, well, this person who is high up in the Biden administration and this person who blah, blah, blah. And they're coming out and they're saying that they were managing Biden's limitations. You should not be managing the limitations of the leader of the free world. Unless you're talking about now, I'm gonna go back, almost 100 years here for this one. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt was in a wheelchair.
Yep.
That's a limitation that I think you can manage.
Yep.
Same with like Greg Abbott. I think that you can manage that limitation and still be a good leader.
Yep.
Now, would it be helpful if you didn't have to manage that limitation? Sure.
Yep.
And
John Fetterman has
maybe,
proven you can manage a limitation and still be and still serve your job. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. True.
But not knowing whether or not he's going to remember who people are that he has to negotiate with on the global stage.
Can't manage that one.
No, he might not remember who he is while he's negotiating. Like, guys, come on. These are not things that you can they're not limitations that you can manage. Somebody who's got like a temporary injury, even a permanent injury that is like a physical disability, you can work with that. You cannot work with cognitive decline. You can't do it.
And it because it never gets better. Unfortunately, it's one of the tragic things in our in the human condition.
With the exception with John Fetterman's condition.
No, but age, when it's brought on by age, when it's brought on by when it's brought on by age, there's no, it doesn't, you can't turn that around. You know what I mean? You can slow it down. But you can, and you can manage it to your best ability, but you cannot, you can't hide it.
Be leading.
You can't lead the
United
you can't
States
lead
of America while you're managing.
No,
is what I'm saying.
Absolutely not.
And
You're exactly right.
But the buried lead in that entire story, they're talking about Biden's decline and et cetera, et cetera. The very first paragraph, they talk about how during the 2020 campaign, one of Jill Biden's aides was bragging about how Jill had been to more counties in Iowa than Joe had. And they pulled the aide aside and said, you can't do that.
No.
And they're like, why? And he goes, because it's going to shine a light on Biden's physical limitations.
Yeah, that doesn't make her look great. It makes him look weak.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, if they were managing his limitations during the 2020 campaign, they all knew better. Everyone.
Right. Well, that's why it is so, dumbfounding to hear somebody say, oh, one of the biggest discoveries of 2024 was how underreported Joe Biden's mental decline was, when it was literally front and center in the 2020 election when he was elected president. It was all anybody was talking about. So
and I'll tell you
been
what,
there since before day one of this presidency.
The other thing they're doing is there are a few of them who are actually trying to defend Biden's legacy, right?
Oh.
And maybe we should put air quotes around the word legacy, right?
Yeah.
So you've got Karen Finney, who was on State of the Union yesterday on CNN. And she says, Joe Biden's record with regard to the things that he's accomplished, I think will stand the test of time. And then she says, it was very disturbing to learn late in the year about just how bad and how poor his health had become. I did not realize that it had gotten to that point. Well, one, she realized that there was a point to get to, like, she knew he was on that road.
Yeah.
And then she said, but still, I think he showed up for the job. He got the work done, et cetera, et cetera. And Scott Jennings was not having any of it.
Good.
Because Scott Jennings, you and I have both talked to him. This guy is a firecracker.
Yeah.
And he just said, look, one, the Hunter Biden pardon was disgraceful. He's going to be remembered largely for inflation and the disastrous Afghanistan pullout. But then he said, I think as we continue, we're just getting the first draft of this now. As we continue to learn about the massive cover-up that went on, not just about his health, but about his mental acuity to cover that up, the efforts undertaken by the White House staff, his family, not in the last couple of months, but for all 4 years, I think it's going to be a really ugly chapter. It's a diminished presidency because of it. And he's not wrong.
No, that's all exactly right. So we're talking to Virginia Kruger from the Daily Wire, by the way. And looking back at 2024 and talking about Joe Biden and the ridiculous cover up that people are trying to put on it.
Whitewash.
On the left. Yeah, exactly. Whitewash it on the left. So, I guess the story, if you're in that, I'm trying to put myself in that mindset, in that group's mindset. So I guess the story there is they didn't realize that he was in as bad a shape as he was until the debate with Trump, right? That's when everybody, according to them, that's when it went,
right.
Wow, we didn't know it was so bad. Okay. So, all right.
You know why they're saying that, right?
Because it was the most public you couldn't cover it up after that. It was so blatant.
Can't get, that's like the last point that they can justifiably say we didn't know.
Yeah.
The reason they can get away with that is because the average American who isn't paying attention to politics and isn't watching Joe Biden and isn't consuming right-leaning media sources on a regular basis,
right?
Those people, they only figured it out.
Hadn't been exposed to it yet. But the people that are lying, the people like that reporter who's saying that they knew, they were exposed to it. So, okay, so I can understand, even though it's all BS and I don't believe it, obviously, I can understand that that's their take. That's their story and they're sticking to it. We didn't know until the debate.
Right.
Okay, what I need your help with is when they say protect his legacy or highlight and remember his successes.
Oh, no. She
what are they talking about?
She said people were going to remember his impact on the economy favorably.
Like,
so I mean,
I'm sure no details, right? No details though, right? No like explanation of why that's the case, because that's where I can't find it. Like usually when I'm arguing with somebody or I'm debating and I can see the other side's point, which is good because then you can better combat it. I'm searching for, if I was a Joe Biden apologist, what do I say? What can I latch onto that he did good, that he had success in? And I mean, I can't find one. Can they? Can they even find one?
The only thing that they can say, realistically, and this only appeals to a certain segment of the population, is that he kept sending money to Ukraine.
Okay. He did do that.
And there's a handful of people that's going to impress.
right.
But if you talk about how he treated Israel and basically said, screw you, stop defending yourselves so hard. Like
how he treated police, how he treated the education system, how he treated the border, how he treated crime, how he treated women's sports
crime.
I mean, like, geez, it's egregious how
well, I mean, if you were, and you know what, if you really, really, really wanted that last rapist on death row to get his sentence commuted, then he might have appealed to you too, right? But,
no kidding.
Or the people who were really, actually, the people who bought Hunter's art are probably pissed because it's probably worth more if he was still a convicted felon. Like if he went to jail, the price would probably go way up.
It's like a meme coin you should have sold before the rug pull, and then now now it's happened, and now you're stuck holding the bag. I got a couple minutes left here with Virginia Kruger from the Daily Wire, so let's look forward, but let's look at the very short term. You brought up the pardoning and the commutation of sentences. Do we expect Joe Biden, maybe it is pardoning, but do we expect any action by Joe Biden before he leaves office?
He hasn't pardoned his brother yet, has he?
No, and he has not issued any of those quote unquote preemptive pardons yet either. I mean, do you expect that to happen?
Do that? Yeah. I don't think he'll necessarily do that because I don't think that he really cares if anything happens to them, to be honest. I think he's more likely to pardon his brother than anybody else.
That could be a final day. That could be like a last day thing.
Yeah.
Pardon his brother on the last day.
I don't know. Like, I mean, we've talked about this, I think. I don't think it's likely that Trump goes after any of these people, except for maybe Fauci. And that will be based on an investigation in Congress. It won't be Trump going
I think you're exactly
Fauci.
right. I think that if anybody goes after
Rand
Fauci,
Paul is going to lead the charge.
Yep.
After Fauci, and I think that Congress is going to follow him down the rabbit hole, and they're going to find a whole bunch of stuff that they don't want us to.
I totally agree. I don't think Donald Trump is going to lead the charge in any way. I mean,
no, I think he's going to.
He would have done it with Hillary the first time around.
He's going to untether the DOJ, and he's going to give Rand Paul free reign and say, "Have at it. Find what you find."
So we're almost out of time here, Virginia, but I wanted to ask you about this before we are out of time. Once again, and we'll discuss this, I'm sure, in the coming days with multiple guests this week, but I want to get Virginia's thoughts. Donald Trump warning on Truth Social over the weekend about the possible speakers issue, another another Speaker of the House debate or drama in that area. Trump throwing his support behind Speaker Johnson and saying, look, don't waste this opportunity that's been given to us by the American people by dividing the party further. Do you think that they will heed that? Because last reports I saw from multiple outlets was that between 4 and 10 Republicans are almost certainly going to vote no when it comes to Johnson being Speaker of the House. So, I mean, he can only lose what, like
I
5?
Think there's a couple of them. I think there's a couple of them that might vote no, like on a first ballot, but then eventually, but like to register their complaint.
Yeah.
And then
put it on a record.
And then eventually, and then eventually vote yes, because they'll have multiple ballots if they need them.
Yeah.
I think that most Republicans understand that in order to go forward, you have to have leadership, and if you don't vote for, they can always have this fight later after Trump is inaugurated,
right?
Because they can recall him if enough of them are willing to do it at any time.
So you think that at least at the beginning that won't be an issue?
I think that he'll get through. I'm not saying he'll get through without a hiccup, but I think he'll get through. Because I think that no one wants delayed certification of the election results, and I think no one wants a delay to the inauguration because they want to get to work just as much as Trump does.
I hope you're right. And we will be here to cover all of it, stay on top of all of it. Every week, Monday afternoon, Virginia Kruder from the Daily Wire joins us here on Colombo and Company. You can also keep up with her every day there at thedailywire.com. Virginia, thanks for all the help in 2024. You're such a key part of this show and this station. Thank you for all the great information and insight. Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you next week, my friend.
Same to you.
Yeah, thanks. That is Virginia Kruder from the Daily Wire. Check out her articles every day at thedailywire.com. And we are going to roll along here on Colombo and Company. Former Missouri State Rep, former show host here at News Talk STL, Paul Kurtman, who now works in the personal finance industry. He's got a lot of great insight onto what we can expect nationally, but also locally in Jeff City, as that's going to obviously be front and center of the headlines as we start the new year. So we'll check in and talk about all of those issues and more with Paul Kurtman next here on Colombo and Company.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-6766. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at BluffCityOutdoors.com.
Are you sitting on hidden treasure? Manchester Coin and Jewelry wants to turn your valuables into cash. We're Missouri's premier gold buyers and jewelry specialists with years of expertise. We offer top dollar for your coins, antiques, precious metals, and collectibles. From gold and silver to clocks and jewelry, we buy it all. Don't let your treasures collect dust. Let Manchester Coin and Jewelry give you the best value. Visit online at buyingvaluables.net or come see him today at 141 in Manchester and tell him News Talk STL sent you.
This is Larry Connors, and my favorite sandwich at Capriati's is a Philly cheesesteak with peppers, sweet peppers, but sometimes hot peppers. I love Capriati's, and so will you.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo in studio with producer Johnny. I want to remind you that going into the new year, if you haven't done so already, make sure you download the News Talk STL app. If you have a phone, you have a radio, and you can take us with you wherever you are. A couple weeks ago when we went down to Orlando to visit Grace for Christmas, it was great to be able to listen to all of the shows here on the station. I could just connect right there to the car and listen right through the radio like I was here in St. Louis, or I could listen on the headphones while everybody was doing their own thing in the car. I mean, just fantastic. Anywhere you go in the world, crystal clear connection to News Talk STL. Download our app in the App Store, the Google Play Store, wherever you get apps. News Talk STL app is absolutely free and the best way to make sure that you can always listen to the station no matter where you are. All right, joining us on the line now is our old friend, former Missouri State Representative, former show host here at News Talk STL, and somebody who works in the personal finance industry. Our good friend, Paul Kurtman, is on the line. Paul, great to talk with you. How are you, my friend? Uh-oh. It's always when I give the bigger intro I give to somebody, the less of a chance they're going to be there. There we go.
Sorry.
You're good. You're all good. We got phone issues over here. It's another year of same old tech problems. But yeah, welcome to the show. Thanks as always for your time. And how you feeling as we wrap up 2024, heading into 2025, specifically in your line of work in the finance industry? Are you optimistic as we start the new year?
Yeah, I really am. There's reasons for me to say that I'm not, and those reasons would be this. The market is still at all-time highs. It's been pretty volatile over the last couple of weeks, but the market responded incredibly well to the win of Donald Trump and the unification of the government under the Republicans. And I feel really good about the way that the market responded to that. But we're at all-time highs. So, there's a lot of reasons to just continue to be cautious. Stay with your strategy, make sure that you're revisiting your portfolio. And I'm really excited. I mean, if Donald Trump, this is the first president we've had who's really talked, even if it's kind of pie in the sky, he's at least talking about ending the income tax and looking for alternatives like tariffs in order to find that, to find that revenue that we need. And if we were to get rid of income tax, that would just be like an explosion of growth in the U.S. economy. So I think the fact that he's even talking about that alone is probably good for the government and those people looking to see, how the government's going to be when it interacts and responds to business.
So let's stick with this. Let's stick with the economy. And you and I have talked about this a couple times in recent weeks. And, I've talked with others about this as well. There's no magic bullet. There's no magic pill. There's a lot of deep problems that are not easy fixes that are going to take time. But there are a lot of very fast things that you can do in the short term, deregulate a couple things, end a couple of executive orders that can have major impact very quickly. So with that in mind, what are some of the things that you would like Donald Trump to see that are realistic, that he can actually do, or a Congress can do in relatively short order, that is realistic, that we're all, that enough people are on the same page? What would you like to see happen in that first? Let's do the standard first 100 days. What are the actions that you would like to see this president or this Congress take to address and keep this momentum of this economy going?
Yeah, that's a great question. Normally we see presidents and new administrations, they have these promises, but then we always get derailed, right? What I would like to see is Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, these two guys that he is charged with leading the Department of Government Efficiency, two guys that want to cut $2 trillion out of our budget, two guys that want to reduce the size of government by like a full third. So this is really exciting for me. And what I would like to see, though, is I would like to see a strategy for doing it. And I would like to see benchmarks along the way, so that way the American people are fully aware that things are getting done. We can find stuff that needs to get cut all day long. Rand Paul has done a great job of that. Senator Langford out of Oklahoma, and before him, former U.S. Senator Tom Coburn has done a great job. But we can find things all day long. I would like to see a strategy for how we're actually going to start calling back this huge, expansive bureaucratic government that we have, and see some deadlines on the calendar. By this date, this department's going to have cuts. By this date, this program is going to be done. I would like to see that. If I could see a strategy that shows us that we're making measurable progress in reasonable time, just the strategy alone is going to be incredibly exciting.
So where is your confidence in that execution being followed through on? Because we know from recent history, it's not the media, it's not the Democrats that usually are the ones that halt Republican progress. It's Republicans. And, we were just talking with Virginia Kruger about here comes possibly another debate about Speaker of the House, which could divide the party and slow things down. Republicans are great at sabotaging their own momentum. How confident are you that won't happen, if at all, this time around?
I'm actually pretty confident. I'm pretty confident because Donald Trump has chosen two people that have a track record of weeding out the unnecessary in business, and from that being able to scale massive bursts of growth in their own companies. Primarily Elon Musk. Like when he took over Twitter, he completely gutted it. There's a picture of him that he put out with him actually, he's walking out with the kitchen sink. He's making a point. I mean business here. But the reason I'm excited about this, though, Tony, is because so much of the bureaucratic government, even if it was created by Congress, even if Congress might have some oversight, the execution of all of this is under the executive branch. It's all directly under Donald Trump. So even though there's a congressional committee that was built and designed to run tandem with the Department of Government Efficiency, there's so much that the department can just turn over to Donald Trump, and with a swipe of his pen, he can choose to stop funding it and essentially kill the program. Yeah. So I'm really optimistic that Donald Trump is working with two guys, and neither one of them need the executive branch to keep funding the government, because under the executive branch, it's really Donald Trump's prerogative to execute it and keep it going, or just start killing it.
Talking to Paul Kurtman here on Colombo and Company on News Talk STL. And I think that, at least to a larger picture for me, as you're saying this stuff, it really highlights how optimistic I am about this Trump administration not because of Donald Trump per se, not because, of the MAGA policies. I am really optimistic and hopeful that this type of administration where we're bringing in outsiders, like, and not just outsiders, like the best of the Elon Musk, just like who better when it comes to managing, big tech and AI and making sure that we are on the front lines of, all of these things that are evolving in our culture, in our world, really. And then, bringing in people like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, but also bringing in people like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. and others from the outside. I am really hoping, Paul, that this type of administration has success, because I think that this has been one of the biggest problems. If you want to talk about the swamp, I think that, promoting from, the good old boy club and whoever can raise the most money for the party and who's made the right deals with the right special interests, that's who's in charge, or that's who's getting appointed to these places. That's all of the worst things of federal government, of the United States government, not even just federal government. I mean, that take that down, from your time in Jeff City, that, that can apply to the state governments as well. So I am really hopeful, as you talk about, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, and I, in my mind, I'm expanding that out to Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr.'s and others. I'm really hopeful that this type of administration is productive, because maybe that could be the new way forward. Your thoughts?
I think it really could be, Tony. And what's really interesting about this new administration is pretty much the whole inner circle of President Trump's administration, including President Trump, are a bunch of Republicans and independents. All of them used to be Democrats. And so we can totally see here that there is a complete.
Did we lose him?
That so many of the American people.
Paul, you cut out there for just a second. You cut out for just a second. Rewind the tape about 20 seconds and take it and start that point over again. Yeah, please.
Gotcha. I was just saying that what's so exciting about this new Trump administration, that even President Trump and his inner circle, it's made up of Republicans and independents who used to be Democrats.
Yeah.
And I think that really speaks to the fact that there is a serious paradigm shift in the direction this country is going, and the direction that the vast majority of the American people want it to go. I think it's going to be good for the economy. I think it's going to be good to shrink the size of government. And I think it's going to set a new pace and even create a new model for future administrations in terms of who they look to get things done. Not just people looking to climb a ladder, but people who are passionate about our country and preserving our personal and economic freedoms.
Got a couple minutes left here with Paul Kurtman, and I know that you are now, several years removed from your time in Jeff City, and this is not your focus anymore. So I don't want you to get into any specific details about the current setup in Jeff City, but that's going to obviously play a huge role in the lives of a lot of our listeners in the state of Missouri. And there's a Speaker of the House, race happening in Jeff City. And then once again, just like we talk about with Republicans at the federal level, we have seen, and you saw this at your time in Jeff City, Republicans having the majority, the supermajority in many occasions, but still not advancing on Republican policies or promises that were made during the various campaigns for these state reps. What would be as a former rep, what are the things that you think that we should be keeping an eye on? And like, what are the signs of progress or maybe a red flag this time of year? Like, what are the important things to be on the lookout for as we get ready to start a new legislative session in Jeff City?
Yeah, another great question. If you want to find out what priorities are going to be poised to move, just start looking at the bills that are already pre-filed. You can find those at senate.mo.gov and house.mo.gov. There's plenty of bills pre-filed on the first day of session or shortly thereafter. They're all going to be assigned to committees. And so if there's bills introduced later on in session, not a strong chance that they're going to actually get through and get passed. So be looking for those. One of the things that I think that the legislature needs to focus on is they need to focus on the budget. And the people of Missouri need to be looking at the budget. The budget has more than doubled just in the last 15 years. And that to me, that's incredibly alarming, especially for a state that has a AAA bond rating like we do. But that's not going to last forever if we let the good times roll, and then sooner or later our chickens are going to come home to roost. The legislators need to be involved with the state auditor's office. And whenever the state auditor releases an audit over any department or agency, there needs to be a hearing by the House of Representatives to go over the findings of the audit. And that needs to happen before the House of Representatives starts writing out the budget for the next year.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to have an auditor's office if we're not actually keeping accountability where those audit reports are concerned.
It's such a great point. And you know what I'd love to see, Paul? I'd love to see a deadline, even if it's just a self-imposed unofficial deadline of having the budget squared away by this point, whatever, pick a day in the legislative session. Because to me, every year, that is the scapegoat. That's the hide behind, because we all know from our years of talking about Jeff City, like that's the number one and really the only official priority of the legislative session is to get the budget done. So that's what everybody hides behind and says, well, we got to get that done. And we're talking about the budget, into March and April, and it's still not done. And it's the convenient excuse for not getting progress done. So I'd like to see even if it's just a self-imposed unofficial deadline to get the budget out of the way so we can get to work for the people of Missouri.
Yeah, you make another great point about it being a scapegoat, because, as the legislative session marches on, they have until the last day of the session to get that budget done, and everything begins to bottleneck, and that budget takes a priority. But there's no reason why they just can't spend the first couple months or the first month just focusing, the whole House of Representatives focusing on that budget, and then save the regular legislative bills towards the middle or end of the session. And those would still move, and now the budget's not in the way and it's already done. So there's a number of different ways that they can absolutely reorganize a little bit better, and they should certainly take a look at that.
Paul Kerman, one of my favorite things looking back at 2024 is reconnecting and getting you back involved with the radio station and this show, and looking forward to talking to you about these issues and much more going into the new year. Thanks, as always, for all the great information and insight, my friend. Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you next week as we kick off 2025.
All right. Happy New Year, Tony.
Yeah, great stuff there. Paul Kerman here on Colombo and Company, and we are going to continue and talk to our big tech AI expert. Mike McCleary is going to tell us about, do you remember what it was? Quantum economics or something? Quantum communication. What is it? We're going to learn together next here on Colombo and Company.
The family that brought you the public schoolhouse in Connellville now presents Oak Street Inn and Lounge. Listen, whether you're staying for business or leisure, you're going to enjoy beautifully designed, luxurious rooms. And downstairs, enjoy a unique dining experience. The Oak Street Lounge offers unforgettable upscale cuisine. Reserve a room or dinner. Oak Street Inn and Lounge.com.
Well, if it's time to sell the house, why don't you go with the realty team that already has home buyers who are approved and could buy your house right now? That would be the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway. Two great folks, Rodney and Jen Wallner, who happen to sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor. And besides the husband and wife perspective that you get, you can also do it in Missouri or Illinois. Just call 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
Well, Vic, you're absolutely right, of course. I mean, here's my challenge. Just give them a call. Say, hey, Mike Ferguson was talking about you guys. Call Rodney and Jen, 314-810-SOLD. Because when you are making a decision on something as crucial as your home, as crucial as real estate, you want people who know what they're doing, but you want people who are ethical, easy to work with, and focus on empowering you to make the best decision. Give them a call, 314-810-SOLD.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
On the line with us is Jamie Allman. I'm sure you'll be watching the fight tonight.
Yeah, I'm pulling for Tyson the entire way, man. So that's me, because I'm old like him. So I gotta pull for the old guy, man.
Mike Tyson and I are the same age, and Jamie, I think you're a couple of years older than me. So we got to root for the old guys.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. President Biden on Sunday issued a proclamation after former President Jimmy Carter's death, ordering American flags to be flown at half-mast for 30 days. He also marked January 9th, 2025 as a national day of mourning. Mr. Carter and his wife Rosalind were the longest married presidential couple in American history.
The Carters were married for more than 76 years, longer than any other presidential couple. Throughout their marriage, Jimmy and Rosalind read the Bible together aloud each night. They lived in Plains, Georgia, the tiny town where they were born and grew up.
White House correspondent Greg Cluxton. Also at townhall.com, if you're trying to get somewhere for New Year's Day, tomorrow might be a good day to be on the road.
INRIX, the data provider, says not a lot of traffic impact is expected tomorrow or on New Year's Day itself. But if you're returning on Thursday, January 2nd, the best time to travel by car is before 3 p.m. The worst time, between 4 and 8 p.m. Gas is $3.02 a gallon today, says the AAA. That's cheaper than a year ago when it was almost $3.12 a gallon. Nearly 90% of holiday travelers are driving to their destinations this year, but AAA expects almost 8 million passengers to travel by air. I'm Rita Foley.
South Korean officials looking for the cause of a passenger jet crash. It killed 179 people, one of the deadliest disasters in that country's aviation history. 2 people did survive the crash. And Russia and Ukraine have exchanged prisoners of war in the latest such swap that released hundreds of captives and was brokered with the help of the United Arab Emirates. On Wall Street, stocks have closed lower. The Dow dropped 418 points, the NASDAQ off 235. More at townhall.com.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 888-SHARE-19. That's 888-SHA.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Prepare for a few rain showers this evening. By late tonight and overnight, a couple rumbles of thunder as well. Rain continues in the morning, tapering off late morning into the afternoon, maybe even as a few flurries. Otherwise, a low 42, but a high of only 43 Tuesday as the colder air starts coming in. And it will be a windy day. Some gusts up to around 35 miles per hour. By Wednesday, you really notice the chill. It's dry, mostly sunny for New Year's Day. 29 for the low, 38 though for the high. So it's a much colder start to the new year. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Fox News commentary.
Well, we finally have photo evidence of Joe with Hunter's business associates knock me over with a feather. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Biden has a strange relationship with the truth. Remember ahead of the 2020 election when he swore up and down he had no knowledge of son Hunter's foreign business dealings? Well, we finally have photo evidence that makes that really hard to believe. The newly released photos show then VP Joe Biden meeting with not one, but two of Hunter's business associates in China. And those photos, well, Joe looks pretty dang cozy in them with the associates he claimed to have never interacted with. It's no wonder Joe pardoned Hunter for that time period to date, because in doing so, he not only spared Hunter, but likely shielded himself from potential investigations. What's your favorite lie from Joe? The one where he proclaimed not to have any knowledge of those foreign business dealings, or the one where he vowed not to pardon his son? Liar's gonna lie, crook's gonna crook. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
This is what's happening.
This was a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack.
50-year-old Brian Thompson was gunned down outside a New York City hotel.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
AI is kind of a fancy thing. First of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence.
And that's the base level that we always start at when we're talking to Mike McCleary from Intervine. AI is 2 letters that stand for artificial intelligence. And then Mike takes it from there. Mike, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing awesome. I'm looking forward to the new year, hanging out with you guys again. This has been an awesome year, getting to know all the listeners and talking about, gosh, not just AI. I think we talked about aliens a couple of times even.
Aliens, big tech, government spying on us with, social media and apps, and then all the AI stuff. And then, also just getting to know the great products that you have there at Intervine, all the flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, batteries. Still got that great promo code, 25% off if you use my name, Tony, at Intervine.com to get all of Mike's great products there. And I totally agree. As I was just saying with Paul Kurtman, looking back at 2024, one of my favorite things is kind of reconnecting with you and getting this new segment off the ground. And I very much look forward to all the great conversations that we'll have in the new year. So thanks for all the information and insight that you provide us every week, Mike.
Well, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to talk about something that I'm passionate about. I oftentimes forget that I have a lantern company on these segments because, as you can tell, I am so into this AI stuff. I'm just going to get rid of Intervine. Dump it. We're just going to do AI stuff.
Don't do that. Let's not go that far. But you know what? You at the end of the day, you are a technology company. You're a business owner that is working in the technological field. And so for you to, doesn't matter what your product is, I think it's just smart business to be on top of this stuff, because being an AI expert doesn't mean that being an AI expert doesn't mean that you have to program the robots. Being an AI expert means that you know how to market your company and provide for your business and your employees, maybe better than somebody who's not staying up on all of these things. So, you know what I mean? You don't have to I'm going to get in. I want to be on the cutting edge when it comes to these technological advances. It's not because you're building androids. It's because you want to be the best in your industry, no matter what it is.
Yeah, you're right. And everyone should be using it. Every business owner should be using it right now. And there are some really crazy things coming down the pipeline. Maybe next week, Tony, we can get into looking forward at 2025 and kind of what I think is going to be happening, because I think it's going to be a great year for everyone, especially the consumer who's really wanting to be able to take advantage of this. But I tell you, when I did some research over the weekend on this new topic that I called quantum communication, I chose that term because even as freaky as it sounds, it's not as freaky as the real term. The real term is quantum teleportation.
Oh, aliens. We're back to aliens again. So can you do me? I'm going to ask the dumbest, most basic question there is. And you don't have to pull up the dictionary definition, but you can. What does, anytime we use the word quantum, it just sounds, it sounds like Star Wars. It just sounds like a sci-fi, oh, here we go. This is big time. What does quantum mean? What is that? Why is that the descriptor at the beginning of these type of terms. It has to
it is not a dumb question, Tone. Not at all, because you hear it used out there all the time. And even though we're used to it, few people can probably define it. I don't know if I could, but the layman's term is small and really incredibly small. And here's what happens. We feel like we understand a lot about the universe and physics and the way things work, like gravity, for example. We know planets pull against each other, big bodies pull against each other. And we have developed all these theories over hundreds, maybe thousands of years on how physics works. And it's pretty incredible how people way back in the day could do that. However, when you start looking at things at the quantum or incredibly small level, and I think of it as subatomic.
Yeah.
When you get down to things that are inside an atom and a molecule, things act drastically.
So how do we pack in a ton of information or a ton of power or a ton of data into a tiny little chip or space? That's quantum.
We get down to the photon level. That's what we do. And you think about it, a photon is nothing more than the tiniest particle of light. It's what the sun is shooting out of us, shooting out at us all the time. And these photons, when we, identified them, long time ago and started studying them, this is going back to the Einstein days. He noticed something very peculiar. We started splitting atoms when we were researching nuclear energy, nuclear power, and they noticed that when they split a photon, it actually went into two parts. And when that happened, those two parts were called entangled. And by that, if you affected one part of it, that could be a few inches to a few thousand miles, it instantaneously affected the other part, no matter where it's at across any distance. So think about that, like having two dice, right? Where you can split them up, take them to one country, to another country. And if you roll one dice, somehow that other die rolls as well instantaneously. That's how the splitting of photons work. Einstein called this spooky behavior at a distance. He didn't even know entanglement at the time.
Okay. So let's take that all the way to today and what you called quantum communication or quantum teleportation. What is, and I think we can, this kind of goes into, I agree with you. Next week, we can maybe talk about some of the predictions for 2025, but my guess is this all kind of ties into the same conversation. That there's a lot of overlapping here. So what is quantum communication, and how is that going to be such a prevalent thing, at least in your opinion, in our lives going forward?
Yeah. So let me tell you the short term. And by the short term, I mean, they're already testing this in labs. They're going to be starting to use this in the next year or two, is that by intentionally creating these entangled particles. Let's say that, Mike is here over in Southern Illinois, and I decide to split a photon because I bought a photon splitter and I just wanted to. And I keep one bit and I send you, Tony, and maybe Johnny, the other photon over there. Once you have that, and I can send that, it through light, through cable, whatever we want to do. Once you have that other part of the photon, we now have a way to communicate with each other almost instantaneously, because if anything happens to my half of the photon, you can see what's happening on your half of the photon, no matter what the distance is. Now, how does that work? How does that really, really mean? Well, what we're able to do, the biggest benefit we're going to get out of this is cryptography. So if you've heard us talk a little bit in the past about how AI systems, there's a huge fear that they're so fast, they're going to be able to break any kind of cryptography we have right now. And that's a real thing, because these quantum chips, these AI systems are incredibly fast. They're going to be able to break any code out there. That's bad for us, really bad. Well, by using quantum teleportation communication, we're going to be able to create these quantum keys where, let's say I'm the CIA, and I need to transfer some really, really sensitive data. I'm going to take a whole bunch of protons, split them, send them to the other field office, let's say in Langley. They're going to have the other part of this key.
Send them how?
Other key. Right now, this is like the next phase, and we'll get to the third phase, which is really fun. Right now, they'll send them over traditional ways. Like it can go over fiber optic cables.
Gotcha.
So they send those other parts of the photons over fiber optic cables, and when they get there, they are a unique set of keys. There's nothing else like them in the world, and that's like their cryptography key that they're going to have. There's a name for it, like a quantum-based key, but that's the key that no one else can have, because here's why it's so secure. any attempt to decrypt it or look at it immediately makes it fall apart. Now, it's okay if the folks over in Langley do it, because once they read it, it's gone, but they know what it is. But if anyone else intercepts those along the way, it's of no use, because everything gets corrupted and they don't know what the original sender's key is. And so this is going to create this unbreakable crypto key that we'll be able to use to send data across vast light networks, like fiber optic will be starting of it. And we will know without a doubt, because we're talking about the laws of physics here, no one will be able to break that, because if they attempt to, it immediately breaks the key altogether. And it's and so that's the first thing here we're going to be able to create things finally that even AI systems with their vast speeds and intelligence can't decrypt, because we're talking about entangled photons at the quantum level. It's a part of universe that kind of makes this work. We don't understand why it works, but it does, and no one can break it, and only two distinct entities can have those keys at the same time.
This is kind of ironic, because it feels like anytime we advance technologically, it's harder and harder to hide anything. It's harder and harder to stay anonymous, just because, that's just the way, everybody's data is being shared, being stolen. Everybody's hacking into everything. And you're just kind of exposed to the world. There's cameras everywhere. You're kind of exposed to the world. This is for once, we're talking about technology that is doing the opposite, is bringing back some security and some privacy, which, in the hands of, just like every other piece of technology, in the hands of the good guys can do great things, and in the hands of the bad guys can be scary. So
absolutely, that's the downside.
However,
right?
it's managed.
If we can create these unencryptable, unbreakable codes, then of course the bad guys can do that. But I think the urgent need right now is, we've seen how fast AI has come along. We've seen people talk about, 6 months ago, the fear that it can start decrypting even, Bitcoin and other things in the blockchain because it's so advanced. It is kind of funny that then these other technologies, we start ramping them up that can solve that. And I don't think anyone would have tried to solve that problem unless we had that problem come up. And that's why they're digging into this quantum teleportation.
Yeah.
Now it gets really fun. If you want to hear this, this is one.
Oh yeah.
This is like Star Trek, maybe the 3-Body Problem movie. If you guys saw that series, which is really, really cool. I came out with that. This is where it's at the next level. Right now, it's not possible. I have talked to the most advanced AI people I can find. I've dug in deep with technological research. They say this isn't possible right now. But here's when it gets really crazy. Now, imagine instead of just using quantum teleportation to create keys to decrypt and encrypt data, imagine if the information was actually sent using those keys. So if I'm going to go to the moon, Tony, I'm going to go ahead and, like every normal person, split some photons. I'm going to give you a handful, and then I'm going to go to the moon for a while. And you'll have your photons, I'll have mine. They're entangled. And anytime we want to communicate, I don't care how far away it is, like, 208,000 miles, whatever it is. But if you send a message to your entangled photons, theoretically, my set of entangled photons should instantaneously tell me what you've done.
And we think that this is something that we can, this is going to have, like we said, we can't do it now, but we really believe that this is something that is going to be reality.
Not for a while.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking this one. This is the one that there are a lot of problems to solve, some fundamental laws that people said that we can't. Now think about it though. People had this like theory of relativity, gravity, and those things are real things we actually see and exist in this world. But we have found over time instances that break those laws. And so there is this law that says like you can't have anything faster than the speed of light. Right. That's like one of the laws of physics right now. But I think people have talked about these gravitational waves, maybe gravitational engines that create micro wormholes where you can bend light, time, and space and have communication go between vast distances faster than the speed of light. Once we have seen that come to fruition, if that ever happens, then I imagine that this, this barrier, they say that, it doesn't matter. You can't really do this fast as speed of light. Then this will be the next thing as well. There are a lot of problems, like I said, that in order to get there, but this is the one, the one thing that I can imagine. Like if you were a million light years away, in theory, you could use these entangled particles to have instantaneous communication with
Ugh, that'd be just incredible.
Yeah.
So looking towards the future, looking towards 2025, talking to Mike McCleary, by the way, our AI expert, owner of Intervine.com. I feel like we here on this show at Colombo and Company, by way of this conversation that we have with you every week, I feel like we are more informed and educated and more, into and prepared for this stuff than the average person out there. Just because we're talking about it on a weekly basis and we're getting informed about these kind of things and we're asking these questions and we're getting these answers and getting this information. And I still feel like it's overwhelming and that it's so like, how is this ever, all of this going to, and I'm taking a step back from the quantum,
right.
Communication. I'm just talking about just the advancement of AI in general. I know all of this technology is going to be available and ready for day-to-day use by, rank and file Americans. If it's not already there, by especially a year from now, as we look, this is the time that we're kind of, looking at the new year. But how much education or ramping up or acceptance has to be done? Like, do you think that people really are on the right track to, be using all of these tools and all of this technology that is now right at our fingertips?
That's a tough one. And I almost have to say the average person is not.
No.
And it's not because anyone's dumb or anything like that.
No.
Like
It's
it's ignorance. If you don't know what you don't know.
And it feels like if there's a lot, is there a lot? Like if I want to start using an AI agent to do a lot of my, paying my bills and keeping my calendar and all of that stuff, like it feels like it's a lot to set up and to get going. Is there like how steep is the learning curve for some of the more basic elements that people really could be applying to their lives right now that would have a tremendous benefit to them? They just either don't understand or are just overwhelmed by the prospect of trying to, learn how to do all these things. Is the learning curve steep?
You're asking me that now. It's not that steep. It used to be, because in the past 2 years, companies, all they cared about was making advancements over their competitors. And so they didn't care if you had to go into some random Discord channel and learn how to type in Discord commands in order to create pictures. That's how Midjourney, the number one image creation tool, had to work until just a few months ago. You had to know Discord, which is a forum with commands. It was weird.
Yeah.
They didn't care because they just wanted to go out there and make sure it was the best pictures. And they did that. They solved it. And then they started making it real simple. They started building very simple web screens in order to do this. You're seeing all the companies out there now. It is OpenAI, it is Google, it's Meta, it's even going to be Amazon. They're now all trying to solve the whole, how do we make this very simple to use? And so that's already starting to happen right now. It's going to continue to happen in 2025. For example, like Amazon, came out with their own little AI assistant called Rufus, where you can type in just what you're searching for instead of going there and searching. It doesn't work great, but the concept is, let's make shopping simpler. Just tell me you're shopping for your 7-year-old niece who likes ponies.
Yeah.
But these AI agents are going to be very simple to set up because they're going to have to be in order to get them to work.
And as they learn, you won't even have to tell them, like, I go shopping for my 7-year-old niece who likes ponies. You're just going to be able to say, like, go shopping for Emily, and then it will know that that's your 7-year-old niece who likes ponies and princesses and just got back from Disney World because it's going to know your life. And it's going to be, really, right? It's going to be that once it's integrated in our lives. I don't even know if that's a word. I don't think I use that right.
Integrated.
Yeah. Like it's just going to be like a member of the family. It's going to be like an extension of you almost, because as it learns who you are, I'll just be able to say, hey, I get $50 and I want to get James a great birthday present. And then it knows that James is my 7-year-old son who likes, WWE and dinosaurs and superheroes, and it'll find the coolest new toy or whatever, or give me some options, or maybe just go buy it for me if I tell it to, that's really how that's really like that's this year stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean that is like, and that's a big push from OpenAI, who creates ChatGPT, to come out with in 2025. They're already talking about how in January they're going to come out with these agents. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They'll release them first to some testers and to the business community to make sure that they're working the way they should, and then they'll release them to us average everyday folks. And the first iteration is probably going to be like an app on your computer, your phone, or even your web browser, where you talk to it. Just like you do to ChatGPT now. You'll tell it, go out and research, GIFs on, you don't even got to tell a website. You just say, go research some GIFs. It'll take over and go out there and start shopping and make a list for you and all kinds of things out there. That's one step that's coming within a matter of months. I also foresee in 2025 another step, and that is going to be devices. If you think about it, we're all using our phones or computers right now, and they're awesome. They're mini computers in your hand. They're more powerful than any Apollo spacecraft out there. But I foresee, especially OpenAI, coming out with their own device that you'll be able to bring with you everywhere you go, talk to it wherever you go.
Somebody already took a shot at that, right?
The Rabbit.
That's what it was.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and it couldn't handle the processing in real time. And you could get out your phone and tell Siri to look it up faster,
but yeah,
than
it'll have to be faster and better. But my guess is, Mike, that it will be.
It will be. I mean, that's why we talk about, we go from they're creating the most advanced ChatGPT ever to answer the best questions possible and the best, most detailed answers, to sometimes going to, we're creating a mini version of it that's not quite as good, but it's really good because they're focusing on these small apps that are incredibly fast and still really accurate, because we need that. You can't have latency. You can't wait, even 2 or 3 seconds sometimes for an answer. That's why these companies are focusing these really, really small mini applications, mini ChatGPTs that are, 90% of what you have in the full-blown smartest app out there, but they can run on a little chip on any device, maybe a USB device, and you can have your own AI assistant, even with no internet connection, the power of an AI assistant in a little device. And I see that coming in 2025. And I think that is going to be a game changer because you can bring it with you everywhere you go.
Sans internet connection, absolutely.
Yeah.
That would almost make me bow to the AI overlords.
Well, and you know what, Mike? What I want to do in 2025 going forward, I want to make this segment be a part of really informing people on what they can do to set these things up, to use this technology. I need that education. I know that, that so many others do as well. And I think that we can provide that information to help, flatten that learning curve or straighten that learning curve and, have everybody, here in the community one step ahead of taking advantage of this great technology. So
I think that's an idea. I delve, as you can tell. I like keeping up on all the most technological advances. I also keep up on all the stuff in the business world.
Yeah.
I also have some software companies on the side. So when you talk about that, I actually am doing some development there too. So I know that stuff. But what I really love doing this is breaking it down so that not only can everyone understand it, you can actually use it.
Yes.
What are the 3 steps I can take right now?
Absolutely. Mike McClary, thanks as always for all the great information. As I mentioned at the beginning, establishing this segment in 2024 is one of my favorite things about this past year, and looking forward to a lot of great conversations in the new year. Before we wrap up this week, remind folks about Intervine.com and that great promo code and all the great products that people can get from you right now.
Yeah, contrary to what I've been talking about, I actually do have the most powerful, brightest, longest lasting flashlights, lanterns, headlamps you will find anywhere. Customer service is awesome. A lot of times it's me. I mean, I mean that. Like, I will try to go out there, and especially I've hand delivered products to local St. Louis folks. Just kind of fun to do. And, but if you want to save 25% on anything, use discount code Tony, TONY, at Intervine.com. That's INTERVINE.com. Sentinel flashlight, awesome. Any of our headlamps, awesome. Any of our lanterns are. They really are. I wouldn't sell them if they weren't. If you have a problem, send us an email. I personally take care of all of any issues. We don't have them often, but if we do, I take care of them.
It's incredible. Everything from the heavy duty outdoorsman, lanterns and flashlights to little reliable ones that you can put in your car or whatever. And you'll see an order from me this afternoon. Like so many other parents, I'm sure after Christmas, we need all the batteries we can get right now. So I am going to take advantage of my own name and my own promo code at Irvine.com and stack up on some double and AAA batteries. So you'll see an order from me coming across your
Hey,
desk
throw me some 9
this
volts
afternoon.
in there. I got the seal and chirpies.
Only ones we don't have.
I got the seal and chirps, man.
I
gotta shut that up.
Oh, I'm going double and AAA like you never. I even need some C's for this other this toy that my
I
kid
have
got.
C's. I don't even put them on the website, but I have them because no one buys them ever. But
I know, right?
They're rare. Like I
They
had a
are.
boombox that took them, and I was
C's and
mad
D's
as
used
hell.
to be like really common, and like they're not anymore. They're not
If
anymore.
you give
but
me 2
double and
minutes after you
AAA.
leave, I will have them enabled on our site because they're literally 7 feet away from me. Cases of them.
There you go. I'll buy some if they're on
All
there.
right.
But use my name, Tony, as your promo code. Flashlights, headlamps, lanterns, batteries in all different sizes. Intervine is INTERVINE, Intervine.com. My name, Tony, 25% off everything. Mike, thanks again for the time this afternoon. We'll talk to you next week in the new year. Have a great, happy new year, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Have
You
a
bet.
great new year. Love you guys, and
Yeah.
I'll talk to you soon.
Back at you, buddy. Great stuff. All right. A lot of people on social media attacking Joe Biden for using the death of Jimmy Carter to attack Donald Trump. I'll explain that story and more next on Colombo and Company.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the News Talk STL app.
Just a convenience on the phone.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
I have a question. How did you like your trip to St. Croix, the Virgin Islands? Oh, you had to enjoy them? I've been a few times. Water is beautiful, a lot of things to do, or just lay on the sand, work on your tan. What you did not go? President Biden did. We know he likes it because last Friday he left for his third trip to St. Croix. Yep, third time, all on your dime. He has about 3 weeks in office, then he can take vacations all the time. But if he waited until Trump is in office, taxpayers wouldn't pay for his trip. I don't want to be cynical, but I am. He's about to leave office, actually probably checked out weeks ago, and now he's not even attempting to look busy, not even phoning it in. Third trip to St. Croix. Must be nice. Thank you, American taxpayers. Should I also point out that as of Friday, he spent 570 days on vacation, 570, 40% of the time he was president. Maybe it's good. Think of all the harm he could have done the nation if he had not been on vacation.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
What a special gift for someone who enjoys a good cigar or premium whiskey. Head for Lit Cigar Lounge in the district of Chesterfield Valley. You'll also find amazing, unusual lighters and ashtrays. You can't decide? Get a gift card. When you finish, walk a few doors down and enjoy Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta. The pizza baked in a coal-fired oven. Select from the menu or design your own. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta.
Winter's coming, and your family's comfort can't wait. Johnson Heating and Cooling, where family protects family. Owners Tracy and Sean Johnson don't just install equipment, they safeguard your home. From new construction to existing homes, we're your trusted experts in furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps. Don't risk dangerous gas leaks or unexpected breakdowns. Get your heating system professionally checked now. Call 636-332-4141 or visit johnson-heatingandcooling.com.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up! And call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
The Allman Report.
Hey, Monday, all the nuttiness from around the weekend. Jimmy Hoff, the Gateway Pundit. It is Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report, News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman. Weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Can our government be competent? Jimmy Carter says yes. Jimmy Carter says yes. Can our government,
let's go,
be honest?
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter says yes.
You know that man
Jimmy Carter says yes.
Let's
Can
go.
our government be decent and open? As the 39th president,
what's he say?
Has spoken.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Carter
yeah,
says yes.
yeah. Let's go, baby. That's a stone cold jam. Starting the show like we ended the show. Jimmy Carter says yes. Jimmy Carter passed away yesterday at the age of 100. And sure, plenty of, you can focus on a lot of things. Not a great presidency, but he also did some great stuff. And I choose to focus on the positive, like that stone cold jam today. What a great song. Joe Biden is being shredded on social media for calling on Trump to emulate decency shown by Jimmy Carter. So Joe Biden using the death of Jimmy Carter to try to score some political points on Donald Trump on his way out the door, and it's not going well. When a reporter asked Biden what Trump should take from Carter's legacy, I mean, talk about Joe Biden getting set up by that question and then just falling for it, hook, line, and sinker. He replied, decency, decency, decency. Can you imagine Jimmy Carter walking by someone who needed something and just keep walking? Is that what Donald Trump does? Can you imagine Jimmy Carter referring to someone by the way they look or the way that they talk?
Listen, fat.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah, Joe Biden is
Found
the one that
cocaine
said,
at the White House
and called the guy fat.
Shot pornography in the Senate.
Right. So
decency. Yeah.
Many have called out Joe Biden for using the death of Jimmy Carter to take shots at Donald Trump. Here's a couple of good quotes, I think, that sums up, what everybody is saying. Hugh Hewitt said, quote, "Is it decent to have deceived the American people for years about your condition and to do so via complicit and complacent legacy media? The greatest cover-up in modern American political history and the greatest media scandal as well is still unacknowledged on the record by anyone around President Biden and by almost all the legacy media figures." Legal analyst Jonathan Turley contrasted Biden with Carter. I said this at the beginning of the show, how Joe Biden wanted everybody to think that he was the Carter of his generation in that, well, A, unsuccessful presidency, but B, the everyday, honest, hardworking, normal American that can relate with everybody. Jimmy Carter did have some of that. Joe Biden never did, even though that's what he attempted. Jonathan Turley contrasted Biden with Carter over the former's broken promise to not pardon his son Hunter. Carter's younger brother, Billy, was scrutinized for his business relationship with Libya during the Carter administration. And Turley says, quote, instead of showing Carter's honesty, Biden lied for years and then pardoned his own son after repeatedly denying that he would ever do so during the campaign. He pardoned his son for any crimes committed over a 10-year period, including potential crimes that many believe implicated the president himself in the multi-million influence peddling operation. So I think that is well said, and exactly what most people are thinking is Joe Biden attempts to use the death of Jimmy Carter to insult Donald Trump and score political points for himself. And thank goodness it has failed spectacularly, like everything else that Joe Biden has attempted. I want to remind you, tomorrow, of course, New Year's Eve, Johnny and I will be here live with Colombo and Company from 2 to 4, like we are every day. But we are also going to stay on and take over the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show tomorrow. We are going to be here until 6 p.m. So from 2 to 4 during Colombo and Company, it'll be standard Colombo and Company show to wrap up the year. Then from 4 to 6, anybody that has listened to me on this radio station or at the old place, the silly New Year's Eve variety show, just unpredictable. You never know what you're going to get. That is what we are going to do tomorrow between 4 and 6. So we're going to have live music in studio. My buddy Perry Woods is going to be the house band, providing live bumper music in and out of every segment. So we'll have live music. We've got great comedy from Greg Warren, St. Louis's own Greg Warren, who has been on every New Year's Eve show I've ever done, which is just unbelievable. He is absolutely hilarious.
Poor Greg had to play that flute. Flute your flute, Greg.
He is going to be here tomorrow. We're also going to have the guys from the Haunted Garage. We're going to have fisherman Mike Marfell. We're going to have psychic and tarot card reader Julia Gordon-Bramer and more. You just never know what you're going to get. That's why it's the New Year's Eve variety show, and it is immediately following Colombo and Company tomorrow. So Johnny and I will do that switch during the O'Reilly Report. We'll switch from the regular show into New Year's Eve.
You're going to go put a tuxedo t-shirt on?
Exactly. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and we hope that you join us. It's a perfect way to kick off your New Year's Eve celebrations. Join us from 4 to 6 tomorrow for the New Year's Eve variety show. All right. So Johnny and I will see you back here tomorrow at 2. In the meantime, keep it here for the O'Reilly Report next, then the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show on News Talk STL.
Craving real barbecue, St. Louis? Your search ends here. 4 incredible locations: Bogart's, Dale Smokehouse, and 2 Pappy's Smokehouse spots, each serving up mouth-watering, slow-smoked perfection. Only the highest quality meats, prepared with love and care by our friendly staff. From ribs to brisket, our full menu has something for everyone. Dine in for lunch or dinner, or let us cater your next event. Bogart's, Dale Smokehouse, and Pappy's Smokehouse. Where smoked meats delight, every bite is a highlight.
Hey, want to amaze your friends when they visit? They will be impressed when they see your custom-made drapes, blinds, or shutters. Michael Proctor will personally help you pick out the correct colors to truly showcase your home. Then he will actually design and personally install everything. No overhead markup. That's going to save you a lot of money on drapes, blinds, or shutters.
Call for an appointment at your home. Spell Proctor like doctor.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports